Okay, now we're in the third part of this orientation. This is the actual operation of the machine. So Tomas, why don't you take us through the first thing to do is our 360 that we talked about in the last section, but let's go ahead and go through that again just to remind everybody this is what you do before operating the machine.
Stuff like we mentioned, I think we mentioned a little bit earlier in the video that we do a 360 walk around
Right.
before you make any movement with that machine. Walk around it, check like I'm walking. If you can follow me, make sure that there's nobody in there. Especially like right now that we're in this heat summer coming up. Usually there might be people like, oh, it's hot. Let me just get some shade. But it can happen. You just don't never know what others can think. So make sure you walk around. No one around you. Completely walk around this machine. And there's a lot with this machine that it's that you can't just think it out in the cab that there's nobody can be around you, but there could be someone. So you have to just watch that and walk around this whole machine. And another, you know, after we do that, we walk around, get in your machine, and we can get started on that if we want to walk back around.
Okay, and as you're walking around too, if you see people around you in your work area or in the area that you're going to be working, you want to let them know that you're getting ready to move this machine too, just so they know, stay out of the way. So if you see somebody that's kind of close or might be looking to walk towards your work area, let them know, hey, you're getting ready to move this machine. You're going to be working in the area. Try to keep people out of your work area that don't belong, especially pedestrians or, pedestrian workers, people on the ground, on the crew that may be part of your crew or somebody else's crew. Making sure that if they don't belong there, try as best you can to get them out of the way. If you need to get your foreman to help you out, that's what his job is for too, to make sure that the work area is safe and productive. So this 360 walk around is whenever the machine has been parked and you're getting ready to put it into operation again. You need to do this 360 walk around. This is not something that you do just at the beginning of the day, but it's any time that the machine's been parked and you're getting ready to put it in operation, because that's when, the point of this is checking your surroundings to avoid running into either people or other equipment or some structure that might be around you. You're looking around to see what you've got. So when you get into that cab, you're making a note of it. So you pay attention with your mirrors and your sight lines and make sure that you're avoiding all those things that you don't want to be hitting or damaging.
Okay, yeah, so as Tony mentioned, we do our surrounding walk around. And another thing, look out for, like, you're gonna tell like your workers or anybody that's around you when you're gonna move that machine. And I know we're doing that on after 3 to 5 seconds. So as I mentioned it, make sure you let those people know that you're doing this, because a lot of the time you're gonna honk. They expect you to tell them something, so they're coming towards you. So it's the opposite way. So it's better to let them know that we're on this, doing this. That way they know that we're honking the machine, so we get a clear zone, and they're not walking towards you, and then just all of a sudden they stay there, even though you think that you honk, and they don't walk away from you. That can happen. So just use it wisely, use it correctly, so we make sure that we don't draw the people that by honking, they don't come to us.
Right.
That's one of our.
And the key there is paying attention to your surroundings. If you see somebody coming towards you, don't move the machine. That's just because you do the 360 walk around and you honk and you do the procedure, and you're not paying attention to people coming towards your machine. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to get people out of the way of your machine. So while you're doing the 360 walk around, you're looking around. When you honk the horn, you're looking around. You're paying attention you know, to keep people out of the way. So
now it's time to get in the machine. If you have something in your hand and you're gonna get in this machine to operate, so the best thing to do is, you know, open your door and you can set it in here. Set it down in here out of your way so it won't tip and fall on you, especially, you know, and then just leave it there. So this has a 3-point
to use ladders safely, always maintain 3 points of contact. That means 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and 1 hand on the ladder at all times. Put both hands firmly on the handrails before stepping onto the ladder. Break 3-point contact only when you reach the ground or a stable platform. Or 3 points of contact to get in, right?
To get into the machine, yes. So you got this handrail here, you got this other one here, and then you put on 1 foot. So then you lift yourself up. Use all your body. Use your hand and your arm, your legs. Don't just pull yourself up with and you can hurt yourself somewhere. So just use it all correctly. So step up, pull yourself up, get up here, and then once you're up here, there's another one on this door. You can get up here and just keep moving up your hand as you're in, and your drink, you know, your cup is here, so it's pretty much in the same spot. And once you're in it, once you're in the machine, and then you can sit down, grab your coffee.
So the idea is to put that coffee up there so you've got your hands free so you can get the 3 points of contact. In this machine, it's got the steps and it's got rails all the way up. So, you know, getting in any piece of equipment off the ground in the cab, you want to use 3 points of contact. So always keep that in mind. All right, so you've gotten into the machine. You got your coffee where you want it. So put that in. You got
a cup holder where you can place it.
All right.
Now you're in the machine, and first thing before starting, seat belt.
Seat belt first. So do not forget your seat belt.
And then there's our fire extinguisher.
Okay, you want to make sure your fire extinguisher's in there. Okay, so the fire extinguisher may come in and out depending on what our procedure might be on the job site. We may not want to leave the fire extinguishers in the cab. You want to make sure that you have a fire extinguisher in your cab when you get in the cab. So, you know, double check, make sure it's in there. If you need to take it out at the end of the day, take it out at the end of the day, bring it back in the morning. That's going to be the operator's responsibility to make sure that happens and keep up with it. So tell us about the controls and some things in the cab. After you've got yourself buckled up, you got your fire extinguisher. Now what else are you looking for?
Your key ignition is right here. So what you do is, you know, you're ready. You already make sure that it's on parking brake, it's down, and now you can turn on the machine. This machine is a lot, you know, it's got some features that you like in it. So, you know, as you see, the steering wheel is up, and you can adjust it to where you're comfortable with it. You know, it goes all the way down, you know, depending. So it goes up and down. So just leave it where you're comfortable with it. And there's your parking brake button here that I mentioned. Your four-way. Usually we use this if we're traveling, you know, a little bit on the road where we're building this part of 82. So sometimes we have to get to it. So we use that. Then your gears are right here. You know, it goes from 1 to 4. And this is your neutral and forward, reverse. As you can hear, our backup alarm is on, but I have it on, but my foot plus the parking brake is on, and you can hear that little alarm is on. So if that's going off, it's telling you the machine is not gonna move. It's in parking brake, so it will not move. And this is your windshield wiper, where you can turn it on and turn it back off. So that, and these are all when that machine goes into regen, that's that button that you have to push, because a lot of these machines, they're automatically regen, but this one here, it will let you know that it's time to regen. and you park it and push that, and it'll run itself through. Depending, it might take 30-45 minutes, but you don't want to avoid that, because overriding it will cause you to shut that machine down till an authorized dealer will come out and get it back up running.
So how does it notify you need to go into regen?
It will come up here on the screen, as you see on our dash here.
Yeah.
There's a blue light that will come on. It'll look like this one, and once that comes up, it's time to park it and hit that button and put it in regen.
So how long do you have to put it in regen? Do you stop right there? Or do you wait for a break, lunch, or how do you? If this machine is in the middle of an operation, how would you recommend your operator handle the regen?
I would just have them park it, because I'd rather lose that 30 minutes in that day than losing another 2 or 3 days down the road in order to get this machine back up. So just do it as the machines ask. Sometimes they'll give you a time to run it, but once that time, it depending, because it will not let you know when it's already time to park it. It'll disappear. It's not on regen no more. So once that override, it will just go away, and then now you didn't regen it, so it's gonna come down to where it's gonna tell you that it's not working. So we need to just kind of let it regen through and let it do its thing.
Okay.
And another couple features on this, you got a floater on this bucket, which flows a little bit when you have a bucket full of dirt or material that you're carrying. It doesn't bounce so much. It helps with this. So the only thing it's moving, it'll be just the bucket, not the whole loader. Most loaders don't have that. That loader will just beat you up. But this one here, that's the nice features about this loader here. And of course, we got this button here that releases the bucket, so we can change it from bucket to fork. And this is your rear. This is your camera in the back. You can see what's behind you, but don't just rely on that camera. That there's nobody can be in that blind spot, or right here, or my left or right. So it's always good to look down on the ground, even after you did your 360 walk around.
You have to break your way out.
If you have to break your way out, this will be the one to use and break that window out.
So for
and again, you got your gas pedal, you got your brake, which comes with both. You can use this leg here or use this one, but most people, it comes with both, which frees one on your other leg. So you got two on both. You got one on this side, and you got another one on this side. This lever right here that controls that bucket, the rising and the crawling, all that. It's all on this two little handles right here. So up and down. That's where it does close, open. So these are the two here.
And this machine is Volvo L70, and we've got Volvo L60, we've got Caterpillar loaders, we've got John Deere loaders, we've got Komatsu loaders. We have a number of different loaders. They're all similar. The features and the grease fittings and the checking the fluids, everything that we've talked about is similar on each one. They may just be in a different location. We do have some open cab loaders that obviously won't have the glass and the air conditioning, that kind of thing, and they've got they may or may not have backup cameras, so they all should have fire extinguishers, they all have seat belts, they all have grease fittings that need to be greased, they all should have mirrors, backup alarms. There are certain basic features on all of them. And you as an operator, if you're on a new machine that you haven't been on before, you get yourself familiar with the different controls and the different features and all the different grease fittings where they may be. And don't be afraid to ask. We're going to get into that in the next section on communication, but don't be afraid to ask. Did I get all the grease fittings? Can you come check and make sure I hit all the grease fittings? And and what does this lever do here? Or let's say you're ready to get started and start to move. We've done our 360 walk around. You know how to operate the machine. So what is the first thing that you do before you move the machine?
So like we talked about, we put that sticker there on before you move the machine. So as you hear our horn, that's, you can hear it. It's loud and clear. So before that,
and then you're looking around. So when you're honking, you're looking around and making sure, if there's anybody behind you, they get out of the way.
Yeah,
they're going to wonder what the honk is, so they need to be getting out of the way. So
yeah, if someone's standing there, you already tell them that you're going to move this machine and you honk, and they might look at you and come, but then you can always communicate with them. Open that window and tell them, stay back. I'm just checking my horn, make sure no one's around me. So yeah, it's got, you can let people know what you're doing. So as we're gonna start moving this machine, I'll just have my foot on the brake. I'm familiar with this. I know most people use this here, so I'm gonna use it. And we take that off the parking brake, and we'll get moving.
All right, so Tomas, there's a feature on here that has automatic leveling of the bucket, right? How's that work? How's that important, and how does it work?
It's to get your bucket level where you want it. You might have to do a little adjusting to it, but it's just to keep that bucket so you won't be digging out your road. So all you do is pull it down, pull that bucket down a little bit, pull back on it, and it automatically just levels itself out.
So you just pulled that first lever back all the way?
Yes, correct. See, I'll try another demonstration right now. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, you just pull it back all the way and let go of it, and then it automatically levels. Now, how do you know if it's level? Is there any? Show me the guides of where it tells you if it's level.
And then you can check. There's those little yellow triangle lever right there. That if they're lined up from each other, that's another tool you can use and make sure that you're level. And it can come a lot easier. Once you learn how to use that level line or use this here, it comes handy. So in case just this lever doesn't work no more, sometimes they go out, but you have that to go by, so you can still do your normal operation.
Okay, so those two little yellow triangles down there, the metal plates, when those two are lined up, that means your bucket is level with the ground.
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right, sounds good. Well, let's get down and we'll talk about more operation of the machine and some things that do's and don'ts of operating the machine. Okay, so we've looked in the cab at the controls, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about the operation of the loader in the field, how it's used, what it's used for. The loader is an important piece of equipment on just about all of our crews. Whether it's an excavation crew sometimes needs a loader, or of course a grade crew on the road, but loaders are used to move materials back and forth. And Tomas, tell us a bit about actually operating the machine, what it's used for, and some of the do's and don'ts of operating a loader.
Okay, well, this loader, like Tony mentioned, it's used for just about anything that you want to move around with, from field to base rock, or loading trucks. And we use this on our
picking up a windrow,
which what we do out there on our roads. It's used a lot for that, and this purpose of that is this loader to actually do a finished picking up product once the grader is done, and this loader here is well known for finished product.
Okay.
And then plus other things like we mentioned, piles and loaded trucks.
So when you go into a pile, how are you, a lot of the loader operators are going to know this, but if you've got a younger loader operator, someone that's wanting to learn just to get them started, how's he going to go into a pile to get a scoop of dirt?
Well, as we mentioned, with that self-leveling bucket, that's pretty much just how to begin. Know that bucket is level. Put your bucket on the ground, look around pretty much like right here where we at, you know, go into that pile and pick it up instead of going down on it. So very important that you know that bucket it's level, because if not, you're gonna be digging a hole and then you're gonna fill it back in once you're done. So now it's type of things that you look, and I mean, it's a nice machine to have. And
That's very important on the road job to make sure that bucket's level, right?
oh, it's very, especially on subgrade to base rock. I mean, very important that someone's well experienced running it and not dig your road back up, because it can be tricky. You might not feel it if you have that bucket tilt a little bit over those lines that I mentioned. You will cut that rock out, because it will cut in. This here is just to pick up the material that with the job that we're doing.
Right.
And one thing I like about this one here is that if you cut it into that rock, you can hear inside that cab that you cut in that rock, because there's some loader that it's very hard to hear it if you cut it into it with that bucket. But that's one thing I like about this loader, and pretty much, I mean, the one that I'm familiar with. But yeah.
Loaders are constantly moving too, right? They're going from one place to another. You don't really see, if we're working effectively, the loader shouldn't be just sitting around, right? He's always kind of got something to do.
Yeah, he's got something to do. I mean, different jobs. While we're might be working here and there's some dirt needs to be moved, filling in some islands, and he can go and do all that. I mean, there's a lot that this loader can do instead of.
Yeah, it's a very versatile machine. So if you're just parked and you're sitting and you're waiting for something to do, I guarantee you there's something somewhere that your foreman wants you to do. And that may be part of the communication. You know, if you can find that out at the beginning of the day, you know, when I get done with this, what do I do next? You know, then you'll have an idea. But if you find yourself just sitting and not doing anything, you know, talk to your foreman, get a hold of him on the phone, or if you see him, talk to him and say, hey, I'm done with this. You know, is there somewhere else that you want me to work right now? Just make sure that you're communicating and you're part of the team. Maybe you're sitting for a couple minutes and then you've got to get right back to helping out the grader guy, but at least ask the question and make sure you're staying productive with the crew. Before you get up there and show us how this machine works, what about when you're transporting material? Are there any things that you don't want to do, or that you as far as speed or where your bucket is or that kind of thing? How do you operate before we get up there and you show us how it works?
Okay, before that, if you're transferring material from one end to another end, get a bucket of material, whatever you carry in, but don't lift it past your side level. Keep it down low where you can run, because keeping it up higher, there's a chance you might hit something and tip over. So that's avoiding all that. So
yeah, when you have that bucket up high, you've got a top heavy machine, so that bucket is carrying weight up there, and you run over a soft spot or a dip in the road or whatever, and it may actually tip you over. That's how accidents happen, is when you're doing things that you're not supposed to be, or you're not paying attention to your surroundings. So there's no reason to be traveling with the bucket up high. You always want to keep it below your sight line, right?
Yes, correct.
The only time it goes over is maybe when you're loading a truck.
Only when you're loading the truck, you know, because you're gonna come and get this pile. The truck's there, back out, and he might be right there, and then because you're gonna pick up your bucket, lift your bucket. That'll be the only time that you have that bucket up in the air. But other than that, that bucket should be down your sight level. So it's not up here, it's got to be down.
And that means when you're looking out the windshield, you should be looking over the top of the bucket. How about speed when you're operating the machine? This one, the L70, I think, is about a 30 mile an hour or so top speed.
I'm not gonna say go all out with that, especially loading material like this. Go at a certain speed, maybe 15 if it's open area, like that side that we're actually working on. But if you're gonna be on a commercial site, I don't think that would be a proper speed, because it's so small area, and here we're at in an open area where pretty much kind of where you can see if there's somebody there. But working on a private site, which is very hard to know.
So you want to look at your surroundings and know, you know, if you're around, particularly if you're around people, you know, you should just be moving slowly along, you know, so you're not gonna, you know, people have plenty of time to get out of the way. If you don't see them, you should be seeing everybody. But if the chance is that somebody's around that you don't see, at least they can move out of the way. Your head, if you do have a question about how fast you're going, or how you think you might be going too slow, or you think you might, you know, you're concerned about it, bring it up to your foreman. Again, that's a communication that we want everybody to have, is talking to, you know, each other, talk to your foreman, supervisor, and make sure that you're operating it in a safe, productive manner.
So again, just like we mentioned before we were doing this video, so make sure that 360, walk around, and I'm gonna do that step that we do when we get up in this machine. Now we're gonna get into this machine and see how we can move it around. What's the maneuver of this machine? Get up here.
So our 3 points of contact getting in.
Get up here.
Seatbelt first. Don't forget the seatbelt.
Now we can start up this machine.
All right, 3 honks and I'm out of the way. So he leveled his bucket out, he goes straight in, curls it up, gets a good load. You hear a backup alarm going. He's looking around. And he takes it to wherever he needs to take it.